All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. In today's video, I want to talk about a technique that I don't think a lot of guys throw up in the northern area that I'm at, which is northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin area. And I think because when you hear this name of this technique, you really associate it with the Ozarks and rocky, bluffy type fisheries that are in the south. And yeah, we have the Mississippi River up here, which has that stuff in it, and this technique works great in that. But the technique I want to talk about is just a shaky head. And this shaky head is actually the owner ultra head, and it's a phenomenal design of a shaky head. I mean, I like that ball head for all my shaky heads because it comes through everything really, really well. As well as it has a great hook that is something I struggled to find for years in a shaky head, was a good hook. And it's got a light enough wire to where you really don't have to pull hard to get that hook to come through that fish's mouth and penetrate. But it's stout. It's a strong hook, which is really good. So if you hook a 5 or a 6, you're gonna get them in the boat. Standard little screw keeper on there. Really, really awesome for holding your plastics up. Just stick it in there and spin it on up. And with that said, this plastic right here is an awesome bait for throwing on a shaky head that not a lot of guys do, which is just a stick worm. This is a pink one here. I know it looks kind of silly, but I just put it on there for the purpose of this video. And man, let me tell you, this pink one does work though. It's very specific, and there's a niche time that it works. But me and my partner actually just won an Angler's Choice event on the Fox Chain of Lakes this year throwing a pink Senko. So it definitely has its time and its place, but stick with your natural colors. You'll be a lot better off. Your green pumpkins, watermelons, you're going to catch a lot more fish doing that. The second head that I want to talk about is one that I really, really like because I like to throw a Laztech style worms. And with that said, the head is the Jewel Baits Shaky Head. I don't know what the exact name of this model is, or what the exact model of this head is, but the reason I like it so much is because of the keeper. If you guys fish a Laztech style worms, you know that you cannot put it on a screw lock. It will not go on. I don't care how hard you tug, pull, twist it, spin it. It ain't going on. So I like this molded on keeper because that Laztech really sits in there and does not slide down. I will show you guys what I'm talking about right here. You take this guy here, rig it up, just like you would a standard shaky head. Slide it up, pop it over that collar there, and dude, no matter how hard you pull this thing, it ain't coming off of there. Like, it's just really good at holding your worm up on the actual keeper there. So really, really good head design. As far as the worms go, I don't want to talk about this worm, but I'm going to. Now, Z-Man makes a great Laztech product, and everybody knows it who fishes their stuff. Absolutely phenomenal. However, this Laztech worm is not a Z-Man, but I believe to be the greatest shaky head worm of all time, and that is the Strike King Super Finesse Worm. The reason that I believe this worm is the greatest of all time is because of how buoyant it is. Now, what I mean by that is every company claims that their shaky heads stand up on the bottom like this when you throw them out there, which is not true. No shaky head out there that I know of is a 100% perfect stand-up shaky head all the time. Yeah, it might land on the head and stand up. That's great. But when you drag it, it's going to either fall on its side, roll over, do something different. And that's just the way it is. They advertise them as stand-up heads, but they're not. So the reason I like this worm is because it is so buoyant that it will right your shaky head if it's on the bottom and it lays sideways like this. It will pick it up and right the shaky head just like that because the worm is so buoyant. And even if it doesn't pick up the shaky head and right it, this tail will always float like that. It will always be floating and give you a consistent look and presentation on the bottom, which is so hard to find in a plastic. There's not very many plastics that are going to give you a consistent action all of the time it's in the water. So that's why I really, really like this worm. I 100% recommend going to get these if you haven't thrown them yet. Now, the third head I'm going to show you here, it's not really any different than the first one. Screw lock, big hook, just a bigger hook, I guess, than you will, that one that I showed you. This is an Xcite Baits Shaky Head, and this is a great head for big worms. That's what I use this head for, obviously, with that thicker hook. Your 10-inch worms, your big guys, this is a great head for that. The last little modification I'll show you that I do to my Shaky Heads at times is a really, really good one, especially for you guys in the Ozarks where everybody throws a Shaky Head. This is something that you might be able to throw that'll make your baits stand out a little bit more. And that is going and getting you some jig skirt material and tying it onto your Shaky Head. Now, not a lot, not like a full jig, but just a little bit of skirting material. I got some rubber in there so it looks a little better in the water with that extra action. But all you do is you save you some 65-pound braid or whatever braid you're throwing. And when it gets old and crusty, pull it off your reel and keep it and use it to tie your jigs with. That's how I tie a lot of my jigs with, and it works very, very well. But yeah, that's a killer little modification that I've been playing with the last 2 years and have easily caught over 100 bass on this. I mean, not in a day, but over the course of a couple years, easily caught over 100 bass doing this technique right here. So give that a shot, especially if you're on a pressured fishery. Just really, really killer presentation that not a lot of guys, if any guys, are doing for that matter. I don't know. But that is it for the heads. As far as the tackle that I use to throw this stuff, I keep it fairly simple. I have 3 rods that I'm going to show you. You only need 2, but I've got 3 for a little niche category for those of you that want to go into it a little further. But I'll start with my standard all-around Shaky Head rod. Now, I'm not the guy who's going to go and spend $1,000 on a combo. I can't gather myself to do it because for $1,000 I can go buy 3 or 4, whatever, however many combos I can get at that $300 to $350 mark, which is perfect. I'd rather have a good, solid set of gear that's going to last me a long, long time and have a bunch of it so I can utilize different techniques. So with that said, the rods that I really like to run are St. Croix. Now, I really like the Mojo Bass lineup. I think it's a great rod for the price. Just great value. Paying for what you get. Good, solid rod here. But this version is the 7'1" medium action plastics spinning rod. Now, this is a great all-around spinning rod because you can do basically anything with it. You can throw your weightless flukes, your weightless wacky rigs, then you can throw your Shaky Heads on it. So it's just a very versatile rod. I use Lew's reels for the most part. Not sponsored, like I said, by any of these companies at all. Just really believe in their product. Think they make really good stuff and stuff that lasts a long time. I mean, I've got Lew's reels that I've had for 7 years now. So they're lasting me quite a bit of time. But as far as line goes, 15-pound test yellow high-vis braid, whatever manufacturer you like. I like Power Pro, just standard. To a fluorocarbon leader. That fluorocarbon leader I usually run 10-pound test. I will bump up to 12 if I am fishing around some gnarly stuff, some docks and that you know. But simple 3,000 size spinning reel. I think you get a further cast, that bigger spool diameter. So yeah, all around, if you were just going to have one Shaky Head rod to do 90% of Shaky Head fishing, this is the one to go with. You can throw your 1/8-ounce heads on this. You're not going to do it extremely well, but you can do it, and it will be effective. So this is the one rod I would highly recommend going out and getting if you want to throw some Shaky Heads or just some plastics or anything for that matter. The second one I'm going to talk about is the one that I use to throw big shaky heads. Now, that big one that I showed you, those half ouncers, those 3/8 ouncers, I throw those on bait casting equipment. I don't throw them on a big rod, though. I throw them on that 7-foot to 7'3" medium heavy action rod. I don't think you need to go overkill with it. That's more than enough power to put those hooks through that fish. And this is the Mojo Bass 7'1" medium heavy power casting rod. And the reel is a Lose Tournament MP $140, $150 reel. Nothing too crazy, but just a great all-around reel. I like that 7.5 to 1 or 7+ gear ratio for being able to pick up enough line to catch up to that fish to stick them, especially when they're down there deep. You want to be able to pick up that line, get to them, and lay the wood. So, yeah, 7 is your all-around multi-tool reel. I think you could slow it down if you want to go slow, or you could speed it up depending on what you want to do. So that is what I use for my big shaky heads. As far as line size goes, I really like Sunline. I have had nothing but great experiences with them. I am not sponsored by them. I know I got this hoodie on. I'm not sponsored. I have no affiliation with them. I truly just believe they have the best fluorocarbon out there. All your fluorocarbon companies are good. Sunline's just what I believe to be the best. I like Sniper. Yes, it's expensive, but that's something I will fork out the money for because that's the only thing holding the fish to your rod. So can't really skip out on that, but 14-pound is what I like to run for my bigger shaky heads. It's not too much, not too little. Falls right in between there. So all around great line size is 14-pound test for your big shaky heads. Now, for you guys that want to dive into it a little bit further and have a knack for throwing real light style shaky heads, I would highly recommend the St. Croix Premier 7-foot medium power or medium light power spinning rod. This is a phenomenal rod, not only for really light shaky heads like your 1/8 ouncers, because it loads and it's real whippy. You can get that bait out there a good distance because this rod loads up with that light bait just really well. The other thing this is really a killer rod for is throwing little baby swim baits on your 3/16 to your 1/4 ounce heads. This thing will get it done. But yeah, as far as your light shaky heads, great rod for that. 3000 size. This is a KVD spinning reel. I really like this spinning reel, surprisingly, and not a very expensive one, but really an awesome one. I've had it for I think a year now is only how long they've been out or something, but it's been absolutely awesome all the way through and through. Same thing. 15-pound to 10-pound high-vis yellow braid with a fluorocarbon leader. On this lighter action rod, this is where I will bump down to your 8-pound test. Yes, it's sketchy. I hate throwing it. It's scary, but I think that it does help the action of your worm a little bit. You might get a few extra bites because of it. I don't know, but it's worked for me in the past, so I'll continue to do it. With that being said, I hope you guys liked today's video. Really interesting one because, like I said, I don't think a lot of guys throw it up here, but it still catches them. Like, subscribe, comment below of anything else you guys want to see, and I will catch you guys on the next one.